in the diaspora, welcome back to the Lucia House of Assembly. This the 25th day of April, where we're here to await the throne speech to begin the opening of the third session of the 12th Parliament of St. Lucia. We have had the formal House of Assembly meeting, followed by the formal Senate meeting, and now we await the arrival of the Governor General for the joint sitting of the Senate and House of Assembly for the delivery of the throne speech. This should have been preceded by the inspection of a guard of honor mounted by the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, and that guard of honor usually takes place outside the Parliament. But because of the inclement weather, we are not sure whether this will take place any longer, but the parliamentarians are taking their seats to await the arrival of the Governor General. So once again, as to whether the usual guard of honor that takes place prior to the opening of the Parliament, whether that will take place, we don't yet know. But the parliamentarians have already taken their seats to await the arrival of Governor General Errol Charles. I am here with Michael Gaspar.
Merci Winston, et enfin encore bienvenue pour ça qui a passé en CAI Constitut aujourd'hui. Comme nous savons, aujourd'hui, c'est dédié devant niveau CAI Constitut là, qu'à jeune, clairement dédié niveau, nous avons parlé du Sénat là, avec aussi CAI Constitut, c'est maman qui électé en élection et CAI Sénat là, c'est ça qui choisit pour représenter trois façades gouvernement, façade opposition, avec l'idée même qui est indépendante. Et qui Sénat là, avec qui joindre ensemble aujourd'hui pour recevoir la commission ça c'est mon qui a représenté chaque lemme qui a fait la reine, mais c'est Wall Angleterre, puisque la reine Elisabeth est passée l'année passée avec la présence d'un roi un garçon King Charles, c'est lui qui gouverneur qui a représenté à présent avec Winston de tout à l'heure qui normalement avant il fait présentation en CAI Constitut et en CAI Parlement il a toujours mis en ces polices ça a dit en examination ces polices là dans garde of honor il a écrit en anglais ça a fait mais à la cause de la pluie en chaque la pluie qui a tombé il passe ça a fait alors gouverneur général a venu directement avec apprendre là qui parole là il pas fait encore ici pour quantité la pluie qui a tombé à présent la pas gagné pièce parole alors gouverneur général là tout à l'heure nous voyé qui parole qui venu ici pour présenter ça c'est commission l'Angleterre chaque regardez Winston avec mais encore nouvelle là c'est la panier examination c'est garde là c'est bien c'est police là qui a debout pour examination avec gouverneur général là qui est venu directement ici pour venir présenter puisque l'application bien chaque l'application en cassé à présent avec ça il y a une cause session c'est bien pas session mais garde là qui est apprécié tout à l'heure nous avons espéré le gouverneur général là qui est venu ici tout le monde a parlé quand en dedans l'année tous ces membres parlement tous ces Saint-Jean Sénat là un chef dignitaire un chef ambassadeur tous ces différents maintenant ici qui a espéré gouverneur général là qui est entré.
Yes, and he will be delivering the throne speech to open the third third session of the 12th Parliament, the throne speech, an important event in the start of the legislative year in St. Lucia, because it sets the agenda for the upcoming parliamentary session, outlines the government's priorities and goals, and helps to ensure coordinated parliamentary action. It is an opportunity for the government to communicate its vision to the people of St. Lucia and to demonstrate its commitment to governing in the best interests of the country. This afternoon, Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre will present the appropriations bill, which followed the report of the Standing Committee of the Estimates of Expenditure for the financial year 23-24. He presented that on the 31st of March, 31st of March. He presented his $1,856,719,000. This as a charge against the Consolidated Fund and other funds of the state of St. Lucia. Well, as we await the arrival of the acting Governor General, just let me just remind you of what he had to say when he was here last year. He spoke of the invasion of Ukraine by Russia having added to the challenges facing his government and has driven up the global cost of energy. He said, just as we were about to experience some respite from a less threatening COVID-19 pandemic, energy prices are now on the up, with all its attendant negative consequences: higher fuel prices and higher food prices, and that his government would work towards securing our people's future together as a nation and as a region. Measures would be taken to promote regional cooperation and security, securing democracy in our systems of administration, securing our access to healthcare, housing, food, and water. Speaking of economic transformation, when the Governor General last addressed this Parliament, he spoke of his government unleashing economic growth that will require not merely knowledge, but also aptitude. It would also require both technology and temperament. It will require confidence balanced by calculus. He said that his government's economic decisions would be driven by information and knowledge, and an important measure that will drive this by obtaining data from the 2022-23 National Consensus. He also went on to say that his government was mindful of the slow pace of uptake of technology, particularly in the public services, and that measures aimed at digitization of the public service would be placed under greater care and scrutiny so that the public could see the results of a more conducive business environment. All of this he spoke to under the heading of the economic transformation. He also spoke of his government's pursuing the expansion of export-driven sectors, including manufacturing and business process outsourcing, and would continue to provide support through the Bureau of Standards and Exports St. Lucia and assist local companies in finding new markets for new and existing viable products. He also spoke of his government's legislative agenda that would support the private sector. This spoke that the year would, the fanfare for for the arrival of the Acting Governor General, Errol Cyril Jones, to deliver the third speech. Michael Gaspars of me.
His Excellency, the Acting Governor General, all rise. Please sit.
Madam President, Mr. Speaker, members of the Senate, members of the House of Assembly, fellow St. Lucians. Let me first acknowledge that I opened this session, this third session of the 12th Parliament of St. Lucia in the name of His Majesty King Charles III, the successor to Queen Elizabeth II, who reigned for 70 years as head of the British Commonwealth, of which St. Lucia is a member. On behalf of the government and the people of St. Lucia, we wish the new king a healthy and successful reign as head of the Commonwealth. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, in my last address to you, I made a call for unity and the need for all St. Lucians to work together for the good of our nation. This call for unity remains as essential today as it was then. Having successfully stabilized the public finances of the country, my government in this session of Parliament will give additional and special attention to the safety of citizens, improvements in the delivery of health care, and the support for the vulnerable. The pace and effectiveness of improvements in these areas will be buttressed by sustained economic growth, which is already showing encouraging signs. Barring major natural or man-made disasters, this new fiscal year should provide growth in should provide growth in all major sectors of the economy. Where we are today, over the past 12 months, my government has made fundamental constitutional changes and adopted a bold legislative agenda to create the legal enabling environment for the implementation of remedial and developmental policy measures. Sorry about this. Since April last year, my government enacted new legislation and amended existing laws to enhance our citizens' security, reform tax administration, improve healthcare delivery systems, enhance the ease of doing business, strengthen community economic empowerment, promote good governance, and created the youth economy. Political independence, and confidence in the Juris region. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, having witnessed the abuse of our constitution to appoint and suddenly remove the Deputy Speaker without replacement during your last Parliament, my government has amended the Constitution so that the House of Assembly will now be properly constituted with the appointment of a Deputy Speaker. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, constitutional changes will continue to be made in keeping with the promises of my government to undertake constitutional reform for the restoration and maintenance of the good governance of St. Lucia. The need to make our Constitution truly reflective of the ideas and aspirations of our people will be continued this year through the activation of a committee to review Parliament's consideration of the recommendations for Constitutional Reform Commission report. Protecting those in the most need and the small business sector. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, the public health concerns surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic have abated since September 2022 with the removal of COVID-19 restrictions. Despite the uptake in economic activities, led in the main by the robust recovery of the tourism sector, the prevailing economic environment continues to be challenging as the Russia-Ukraine war continues with little sign of abatement. The war has disrupted global supply chains and created inflationary pressures on price of essential commodities such as basic foods, fuel, household items, and building materials. Imported inflation has been impacting the ability of our people to prove for themselves and their families. My government will therefore continue supporting households in particularly vulnerable groups by subsidizing essential goods like flour, rice, cooking gas. In addition, my government will continue to assist the most vulnerable through the Public Assistance Program in support of the post-COVID-19 business recovery. The MSME Loan Grant Facility, which was launched last month, will be fully rolled out to provide very generous and direct financial and assistance to micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. Over 500 business enterprises are expected to benefit from this facility. Government priority areas in citizens' security. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, it is with a deep sense of regret that the scourge of violent crime has continued to afflict our country. It is of no comfort that this surge in crime has been affecting the entire Caribbean nation. The seeds of violent crime have been incubating for years and have now grown into a despicable and shameful image of disregard for human life. The shocking images of gun violence must end, and my government is determined to do so within the ambit of the law. The homicides taking place in the south of the island cannot be allowed to continue, and so my government is determined to end it, lest it begins to spread and threaten the social and economic life of our country. My government has already made legislative changes by the enactment of the Suppression of Escalated Crime Police Powers Act, number 6 of 2023, to enable the police to suppress the escalation of crime. In addition, it has secured the services of the regional security system to assist the local police in this fight, and will continue to engage their services for as long as it is necessary to do so. In the spirit of collaboration, given the shared crime challenges within the region, my government will be working with CARICOM member states to stop the smuggling of guns and drugs into and across the region. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, my government continues to provide the police with all the required equipment for the effective execution of their duties, and remains committed to providing the necessary assistance to the police until the scourge of violent crime is brought under control. The police will continue to work closely with and within communities by engaging meaningfully with community leaders and civil groups in the fight against crime. In support of a multidisciplinary approach to crime fighting, a National Security Council will be re-established to coordinate crime reduction efforts undertaken by government agencies, the private sector, and the police force. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, my government takes this opportunity to thank all its regional partners who assisted during the escalated period of gun violence in our country. We shall continue to collaborate with other countries in the region to fight the scourge of violent crime. In enhancing the security of our citizens, my government in this fiscal year 2023-2024 will start the now overdue construction of the halls of justice in the latter part of 2023, which is expected to take 30 months to complete. This will be part of several initiatives aimed at addressing the backlog of cases that are currently impeding the administration of justice in our country. This new facility will consolidate the magistrates' court, the family court, the commercial court, and the high courts, and other administrative support services, including the civil and criminal registries. Several other initiatives aimed at reducing the backlog of cases and reduction of the remand population of Body Lake will be continued this year. Improving health care outcomes. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, the second major priority area this year is health care. I am pleased to report that work is progressing well on the St. Jude Hospital reconstruction project. And my government is confident that the people of St. Lucia, and especially residents in the South, will be given the long overdue St. Jude Hospital before the end of this Parliament. Additionally, my government remains committed to improving the public health infrastructure at both the primary and secondary levels by equipping the health and wellness centers island-wide with advanced technologies and improved medical resources. The pursuit of universal health care coverage remains a framework within which my government seeks to provide quality, affordable, accessible, and equitable health care. In this fiscal year, Madam President, Mr. Speaker, special focus will be given to reducing our infant mortality rate under the Universal Health Care UHC initiative. This will begin with the implementation of the Mother and Child Health Services Program, which will allow for the registration of all pregnant mothers to ensure they receive the necessary primary, antenatal, and postnatal health care. The Ministry of Health will also commence the issuance of health cards to citizens as soon as the universal health care information is completed this year. My government will also secure additional financial support for the health services provided by OKU at St. Jude Hospitals. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, the COVID-19 pandemic, which registered its first case in March 2020, has exposed several gaps in our healthcare system, which requires remedial action. My government will therefore be strengthening the health system with additional resources to ensure that it is in a state of preparedness in the event of any future health pandemic. Economic sustainable development. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to announce that foreign investor confidence in St. Lucia has returned, with the tourism sector being the largest beneficiary. In 2022, the United Nations listed St. Lucia among the top 5 destinations in the world tourism recovery. Stayover cruise and yachting sectors all recorded significant increases over last year. Already, Government-approved hotel projects will provide a huge boost to the construction sector with plans for additional hotel rooms this year. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, my government intends to leverage the opportunities presented by the anticipated growth in this sector for locally owned tourism businesses by providing them with grant and loan funding under the community-based tourism program. In keeping with the new opportunities presented by changes in the tourism industry, my government will enact a new Tourism Development Act during the first half of this fiscal year. Regional air transportation. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, the absence of adequate traveling options within CARICOM since COVID-19 continues to undermine the economic and regional integration of the region. My government intends to play a leading role at the OECS level to improve traveling among countries within the sub-region. My government views regional air transportation as a public good and will do all that is possible in conjunction with its regional partners to ensure the return of a viable regional airline which has the support of government in the Eastern Caribbean sub-region. We believe that the sustainability of regional economy depends very much on the ability of our people and goods to move across the CARICOM economic space. A tax system. Encouraged by the effectiveness of changes in the income tax system last year that resulted in earlier collection of payment of taxes, my government will persist with these changes in 2023-2024. My government remains committed to restoring our country's financial health through prudent financial and fiscal management, fueled by economic growth and diversification. My government will continue to create the enabling environment to facilitate business development for the youth, women, and communities across the country. It will continue to facilitate the development of tourism products and services aimed at spreading the benefits of the tourism dollar. Other sectors, the youth economy. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, my government has now honored its promise to create a space for young people in the economic landscape of St. Lucia. Access to economic opportunities for young people is now real, with more grant and loan funding being made available in the fiscal year. To avoid the bureaucracy of government, a youth economy agency with its own board of directors has been formed to support youth entrepreneurs in the running of their businesses. Young entrepreneurs now have a realistic chance of providing for themselves by monetizing their talents in popular areas like sports, music, the arts, and information technology. Agriculture. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, diversification efforts have been aimed at food security, reducing our import bill, and securing new regional markets for our agricultural products. Fuel relief, a promise made by my government for fishers, will start in the early part of this financial year. My government will also continue to provide support for the growing and promising sectors of CMOS and honey production with a view to increasing our exports. The blue economy. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, our economic sustainability depends very much on the management of our coastal waters. And so my government shall provide necessary assistance to the relevant agencies in the management of soufre, ancillary, and canneries, Fiji Peninsula, and the Pigeon Point coastal areas. Climate change initiatives. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, my government remains committed to the gradual move from fossil fuels to renewable energy and will be accessing climate financing now provided by the German government. Efforts to encourage the shift to electric vehicles have started. My government will further incentivize the transition to electric vehicles and the establishment of the necessary infrastructure. During this year, it is expected that an enabling environment will be created for the supply of renewable energy with the amendment of the Electricity Supply Act. Legislative changes, Madam President, Mr. Speaker. In addition to the intended legislative changes already mentioned, the Tourism Development Bill and the Electricity Bill, my government has identified 14 other bills for consideration for this new session of Parliament. These include the Criminal Code Amendment Bill, Real Estate Brokers and Agents Bill, Controlled Substances Bill, Non-Governmental Organizations Amendment Bill, Witness Protection Special Measures Bill, and Cooperative Societies Bill. Many of those bills are in keeping with the legislative structure of modern society. In conclusion, Madam President, Mr. Speaker, my government remains steadfast in its commitment to the people of St. Lucia and calls on all St. Lucians to work for the good of the nation. We can achieve more together than we can individually. The need for togetherness as a nation is required now more than ever, as we are faced with a more uncertain world, with the collapse of significant financial institutions in major economies like the USA, political tensions between nuclear power countries, war between nations, rising inflation in major industrialized nations and shifts in political alliances among countries in search of protection of their economic interest. As a small nation, we have much to be proud of. Many visitors continue to visit our shores for recreation and relaxation. We have developed a world-class destination for honeymooners, a status we have enjoyed for many years. Our economy is on the rise again. Foreign and local investor confidence is back, and the future looks brighter. I call on all of you to embrace the new economic opportunities as they present themselves, and give your best to the country that gave you birth. With all our challenges, we are still a relatively peaceful and loving nation. And so we must not allow the ruthless, uncaring, and heartless few to sully the image of our country. This is why we must lend support to our law enforcers in fighting the scourge of crime, especially violent crime, which has been visited upon us. When the COVID-19 pandemic reached our shores in March 2020, like most countries, we were unprepared to handle a health pandemic of such magnitude. Nevertheless, we came through the pandemic showing our resilience as a nation. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, soon we will be much better placed to handle the challenges like COVID-19 as we seek to close the gaps in our healthcare systems which COVID-19 has exposed. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, there are no challenges we cannot overcome if we remain together as a people. Our politics should be seen within the context of different routes, but to the same destination, a peaceful and happy place to work and relax. So let not party politics divide us, because its divisiveness will weaken all of us. With this parting message of putting the good of our nation first, I now declare this third session of the 12th Parliament of St. Lucia opened. May the Almighty God bless and protect St. Lucia and its citizens, both here and abroad. Wonderful list. Mr. Speaker, sir.
All rise.
Eh bien, nous avons fini une présentation, et bien l'adresse, ça c'est le gouverneur général, M. Excellence Harold Charles, qui présentait ces policiers de direction gouvernement pour l'année 2023 pour 2024. Durant l'adresse, M. Excellence parlait à ce plan comme dit policier gouvernement. Et d'accord, premièrement, il dit qu'il a représenté le roi de l'Angleterre. Et en première année, c'est roi King Charles Nivali, numéro 3, avec, il souhaitait un bon temps comme roi ces pays Commonwealth là. Il aussi dit que le gouvernement mettait en charge attention à sous les affaires sécurité pour citoyens pays, aussi les affaires santé avec au gouvernement ni attention pour mettre en charge attention à ce monde qui est vulnérable, monde qui désavantage en pays. Aussi le gouvernement il dit pour l'année passée j'ai passé loi pour changer la constitution et loi il dit qu'il est bien important. Il parlait à ces affaires CCGA pour un pays entrer l'audience appelle Kawaii la même, avec aussi pour changer la loi pour accommoder des petits speakers comme sortir en autre manière. Aussi le gouvernement il dit le gouvernement passé différents principales lois mais le gouvernement fait déclaration et bien ranger différentes situations pour MSMI, pour la jeunesse avec différents chance pour développer le business avec comme ça. Il parlait à ça, ça fait youth economy et puis avec le gouvernement c'est excellence, ça c'est le gouverneur général Harold Charles parlait à ça, ça fait youth economy, ça il a créé économie les jeunesses, il parlait à ça avec violence qui dit qui a affecté le pays en tout partout en pays avec bien content que le gouvernement passer loi pour bailler police plus pouvoir pour bout ces violences là en ces différents communes là et il dit que le gouvernement a aussi établi ça il a créé un National Security Council, ça c'est un conseil pour guider premier ministre guider le gouvernement à ces affaires sécurité nationale. Aussi il a annoncé ça c'est un bâti place avec un Hall of Justice plus tard commencé plus tard l'année ça là avec il dit ça a duré 30 mois pour finir avec aussi le gouverneur général là en présentation il parlait à ce Saint-Jude, l'hôpital Saint-Jude pour projet ça là pour rebâtissement de l'hôpital Saint-Jude avec un gouvernement ni intention pour finir l'hôpital Saint-Jude plus vite que possible avec il parlait à ce plusieurs différents sujets qui le gouvernement ni intention pour continuer. Quand nous avons parlé là, nous fini en charge des autres différents monde qui a parlé, puisque vous savez, le monde qui a jeune et puis il y a l'autre comme on dit avant, nous en charge dignité ici avec nous avons préparé mon après puis pour ça c'est l'autre session côté premier ministre qui a présenté à 5h après-midi pour présenter ça, regarder l'autre part en budget, ça nous a fait policy. Winston?
Well, we just been listening to the throne speech delivered by Acting Governor General Cyril L. Charles. This afternoon we'll be back here at approximately 5 o'clock when Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Philip G. Pierre, will present the appropriations bill, the policy statement through his estimates of expenditure for the financial year 2023-2024 of $1,856,719,000. So join us again at approximately 4:45 when our broadcast should resume from the Lucia House of Assembly and from the opening of the third session of the 12th Parliament. On behalf of our technical team and Michael Gasper, I am Winston Springer returning you to Master Control.